The new Premier League season starts tomorrow, and it would be remiss of me not to take a Football Manager database update that's had all the promotions, relegations in, along with a lot of the new transfers. Not all of them, I'm not that up to date, but it's pretty much there as of about a week ago, probably. So I don't think Neymar's in it. Well, he's in it, but for the wrong club. But it doesn't impact the Premier League anyway, so let's not worry. But we've got an up-to-date-ish database. We've run it for a full season, and we'll have a look definitively to find out who's going to win the Premier League this season. And there we have it. And goodness me, is that... I mean, there's parts of that you think, oh, that seems about right, and parts of that just seem completely unbelievable. If we have a look at the league table initially, Man City as champions, I can probably buy that Man City might end up as champions, but Arsenal in second place? That's with Alexis Sanchez as top scorer in the Premier League in an Arsenal shirt. I mean, that's an interesting one. Hands up if you think that's likely to actually happen. Liverpool coming in third, Tottenham fourth, and then Man United fifth, Chelsea sixth, and West Ham seventh. Brighton in eighth place. Brighton in eighth place. With a bunch of mid-table stuff. All Everton's transfers haven't made much difference to them. They're still finishing 13th. Newcastle just about survive, as do Stoke. And relegations for Huddersfield, Crystal Palace and Swansea. I mean, that's quite shocking. Let's just double-check that all of the summer transfers have gone through. So if we have a look at what the teams are, who should Arsenal have in their team? They should have... What's his face, shouldn't they? Lacazette. So Lacazette is there. So we have got transfers that have gone through. Have Arsenal signed anyone else this summer? Arsenal probably weren't the team to look at. Let's look at Everton, because I'm really surprised to see Everton so far down the table based on the amount of money they've spent. So Michael Keane is there, Pickford's there. Who else have they signed? Rooney, is it Rooney there? Ibrahimovic is up front for Everton. So this is a world where Everton not only spent all the money they've spent in real life, but also signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic on a free transfer. Obviously, his time at Man United doesn't exist because of the way the Football Manager stuff works. Don't worry, he still went there. But even despite signing Zlatan, they only finished 13th, and Ronald Koeman somehow didn't get sacked for that. I don't understand. Let's take this all the way back. I imagine this database wasn't fancy enough to have actual fixtures. I don't even know why I'm going back, because I know it's not going to have actual fixtures. Kev, stop clicking now. It's not going to have actual... Yeah, let's give up on that. I wanted to look at the first day of the season, but we know it's not going to have actual fixtures. This is where everyone's screaming in the comments, Kev, those fixtures for the 31st of December are accurate. It probably did have accurate fixtures. Well, sorry, we're not looking at them. Let's have a look at the player stats. So, top goal scorer in the Premier League this season, Alexis Sanchez. Do we think that's likely to happen? If he stays, I mean, it's a possibility. I think what's surprising, I'm a bit surprised Troy Deeney's second. I'm a bit surprised Harry Kane's only third. And who's Tomer Hemed? He's a player who's playing for Brighton. He played for Brighton last year. He's come through into the Premier League. There you go. Put money on Tomer Hemed as a top 5 goal scorer this year. If you're over 18 and you gamble responsibly, don't just do it if you're a kid or something. That'd be stupid. But Pogba up there on the top goal scorers as well. Adam Lallana. There's not a lot of strikers on there, is there really? When you have a look at the likes of Pogba, Lallana. I guess Firmino's playing up front again for Liverpool in this world. Best at hitting the target, Romelu Lukaku. He's not that good at hitting the target though, is he? Because he's only got 11 goals in 32 games for Manchester United. And Man United themselves have finished 5th, which would be a complete disaster and would surely lead to Mourinho being sacked. Somehow, a 5th place finish after all that money doesn't lead to Mourinho being sacked. That's a bit of a surprise. Best players in the Premier League for the upcoming season. Ozil, with an average rating of 8.07. I mean, that's why Arsenal are finishing second, because he's having the season of all seasons, averaging over an 8. He's just crazy talk. Juan Mata up there as well. Klein, Alderweireld. I'm not going to try and pronounce lots of these names because I'll just mess them all up. I mean, similarly to the EFL predictions that we did last week, we are getting a lot of high ratings for a lot of defenders. If we have a look through the list, there's a lot of defenders on there. I mean, you've got it's defenders and attacking midfielders, really. Who's the best striker? I guess Alexis Sanchez, but is he playing as a striker in this Arsenal system? He's not, so he counts as an attacking midfielder as well. So he's the top scorer in the Premier League as an attacking midfielder. So the best striker, I mean, we're having to scroll to find a best striker. I don't know who you are, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. You're not a striker, although you can play everywhere else by the looks of it. There isn't a striker in the top 20. That's interesting. Right, let's have a look at some of these clubs in a little bit more detail. In fact, before we do that, where's the manager movements? That's what we want. So, first sacking of the season is going to be Mark Hughes in January. No, hold on. Is this not in any kind of order? Here we go. First sacking of the season is Paul Clement from Swansea. He leaves in December and is replaced on a caretaker basis by Cameron Toshak, who lasts like 2 weeks and is then replaced by Javier Aguirre. Where does Swansea finish? They still finish bottom of the Premier League. So even sacking Paul Clement doesn't save you, Swansea fans, I'm afraid. Mark Hughes is going to be on his way in January. He gets eventually replaced by Marcelo Bielsa. That feels like a name I should know. Who's he? Well, he's been around a bit, hasn't he? That's why I've heard of him before. But he's going to end up at Stoke, and I think he does just save Stoke. If we have a look at their season, I mean, it was a little bit iffy. They were never actually in a relegation zone, though. So, did he save them? Probably not so much. And then, lastly, David Wagner, whatever you want to call him, he leaves Huddersfield after they're relegated. So I guess, I mean, that's a bit harsh. Gets them promoted, finishes one place outside of the safety area thing. That's not how we talk about these things in football, but nearly saves them and gets sacked anyway. That's a bit harsh, Huddersfield. I mean, he's got to be the man to lead you back into the Premier League again. Now, I did have transfers disabled for the first transfer window, but for the second transfer window they're on. So if we have a look at what transfers went through in January, Icardi going to Man City, Sabitzer going to Liverpool, Inigo Martinez to Chelsea. There's not any significant players leaving English clubs. Presumably they do show up on here, because there's Paulista going from Arsenal to, not even going to try. But so there's a lot of players arriving in the Premier League in January. My old mate Luan from my Liverpool save earlier on in FM17, or right at the start of FM17. But not any significant departures, which I guess is a little bit of a surprise. Danny Ings going to Huddersfield for 10 million. That's quite surprising. Right, before we go, let's have a look at some of the other competitions as well. So if we have a look, first of all, at the domestic ones in England. So FA Cup is going to be won by Liverpool, who are going to beat Bournemouth in the final. The EFL Cup is going to be won by Arsenal, defeating Watford in the final. The Europa League, is that what it's called in this? Have I got the right names on? No, of course I haven't. UEFA. I'm sure I have the right names on. So the European Champions Cup is going to be... Oh, we've not got... the final. When's the final? The final is on... Why can't it just tell me when the final is? The 3rd of... Right, hold on. We've got to see who wins. It's Tottenham against Juventus in the final of the Champions League. Let's just fast forward and see who wins the Champions League. Where did Tottenham finish in the Premier League? I think Tottenham were 3rd in the Premier League. But a Champions League win is probably going to be satisfactory for them if they manage to pull that off. So, Juventus won. So, Juventus beating Tottenham in the final. If we skip back through the rounds to see how far various other teams got. I mean, a semi-final that's got Tottenham, Chelsea and Man United in. As an English football fan, you'd be quite confident going into those semi-finals, only for Juventus to then sneak through and win the whole thing. Who else have we got? Well, I've not seen Barcelona on this list yet. Bayern got knocked out by Chelsea. Atletico by Man United. Barcelona not even making it out of the group stages. Oh no, there you go. Knocked out by Man United in the first knockout round. That's a Man United team that went on to only finish 5th in the Premier League. Real Madrid getting knocked out by a Chelsea team who finished 6th in the Premier League. And we just decide that this has been a really, really, really weird season. Let's just have a look at the Europa League as well. Arsenal winning the Europa League, beating Real San Sebastian in the final. I didn't even know they were a thing that existed, but apparently they are. Shows what I know about... I mean, who are Real San Sebastian? They're in the Spanish... Why are my real names not on this version of the... On my main game, I have all the real names on, but apparently not on this save. That's upsetting. But there you go. They're going to get to the final with Arsenal ending up winning the entire competition. So what I'll do is I'll put this database... this save will be a link in this video as well. So if you want to have a proper route around it, it's the same one that had all the EFL stuff on last week. I've only got the English leagues loaded. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to have a look around the rest of Europe because I wanted to be able to just get the video out in reasonably quick time, not have the whole world loaded. But if you are interested in where your team has ended up in English football, you want to have a look to see how a particular player or signings got on, or whether your manager managed to survive, just download the save, have a little route round for yourself. Let me know down in the comments what you discovered, and we can get a little bit of a conversation going on down there. But I think the real headline for this has to be that if the Premier League ends up turning out like that, Football Manager is an actual genius. And if it does turn out like that, do Mourinho and Conte still have jobs at the end of the season? I would suggest not. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.